Welcome to Cashflow Diary, a podcast where we discuss business, money, real estate, and the sharing economy. As a full-time real estate investor, entrepreneur, and all-around problem solver, I have had the privilege of developing individuals into powerful business owners. And today, the focus turns towards you. Our mission is to help you build your real estate empire by leveraging strategies to grow yourself, your mind, and your wallet. Let's get started. Wealth is for everyone. That means me. Now, I normally say that means you, but I learned this phrase, wealth is for everyone, that means me, as something of an affirmation. The reason I want to start with this is because there are a number of things that I have seen in my position working with individuals, helping them become bigger versions of themselves, that we need to believe. There are some fundamental things that we need to believe, and then we are enabled to receive what it is that we need so that we can achieve, if that makes sense. So oftentimes we think that, hey, I just need more information. If I just had more information, I would be able to then go and do. Figured out that information is everywhere, but you still don't know what to do. Yes, information is everywhere, but there are times where I feel like I still don't know what to do. Exactly. That's kind of what I thought. But yet we find ourselves in situations where what we do is continually chase more information. How many of you know you got 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 or more courses, ebooks, something you paid for? You paid for it. You have every intention of opening it, reading it, going through it, but it's been 3 months and it still hasn't made its way to your computer screen since then, where you said to yourself, oh, I'm going to do this. Absolutely. I got this time. I'm not going to do what I did last time. I'm not doing that. I am guilty as charged. I have to, Shay. No. That is not how we do it here. I definitely have to keep it exactly where it is. The truth of the matter is, we all do it. We all have habits that keep us, that hold us back. I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. Becoming rich and or wealthy has less to do about learning something new than it does about letting go of the habits, the thought patterns, the actions that have kept you broke. That's the difference. The difference is we're often the ones holding our own selves back. We don't even know that we're doing it. And because it's familiar to us, we often stay exactly right there. But here's the thing. Wealth is for everyone. That means you. That means me, right? And when I was first learning this, I was taught this as an affirmation. And the goal, the intent was for you to say it to yourself, like out loud, which, okay, great. However, sometimes when we say something that is not yet quite in our reality, we have this little voice in the back of our head that says, you just lied to yourself. What are you talking about? That means me. Me? Who's the me you're talking about? Right? You can say silently, wealth is for everyone. That means me. But when you say it out loud, that little voice pops up in the back of your head and it doesn't sound quite as confident. It doesn't sound quite as true. It reminds you of what you didn't do, how it didn't work, and how all of those things kept you from being, the big, better you, because you said you were going to do that last time. Remember what happened last time? And that's that voice. and it's in the back of your head. Now, some of you, you're related to that voice. There's not much I can do about that. What I can say is that voice is not truth. We can respond to that voice as if it is, but you get to decide. Oftentimes, when we start off on a path, any path, what we hope for is literally no resistance. I've never had that happen. Often at the point of a decision or soon thereafter, the first thing that shows up is difficulty. Decision, then difficulty. That's how it works. In fact, there's a book out there that simply says that suffering leads to perseverance, perseverance, character, character, hope. That is the order. You're like, I want more hope. Well, first comes suffering, then perseverance, then character, then hope. And in fact, that same book goes on later to say, perseverance must finish its work, must finish. Like, it's not optional. And why does perseverance have to have any work? Why can't perseverance be in the unemployment line? Why do you understand what I'm saying? And here's why this trips us up is because we think, hey, I'm great. And you know what? You are. As a human being, who you are is great. But here's the challenge. You and I have to remember to separate our identity from our role. But most importantly, today's your first day. Every master was once a disaster. Every master, as in all of them, anyone that you look up to today, we all have these individuals that we learn from, hear about, etc. And the only thing I'm saying is, well, every master was once a disaster. And when you think about the word every, that means all of them. All of them had a first day, period. And they're human just like you and me, which is great. Because that means if wealth is for everyone, and that means me, that means because they had a first day, I can have a first day too. And I'm never good on my first day. Because see, remember, perseverance must finish its work. Because we get so wrapped up in something working for us, we forget the following problem. It's twofold. Part one, we have been trained, programmed to be for what is against us and against what's for us. I'm going to say that one more time. We have been trained to be for what is against us and against what is for us. And that's been programmed from birth into each and every one of us. There are things that are in this world today that right now, and I'm going to say a couple, and it's going to mess with some of you. I'm going to say a couple of them. And you know what? You believe they're for you, as in beneficial, created to help you. For example, some of the things that I know and believe very strongly that were created but are not necessarily for you are things like any of the qualified plans. By a qualified plan, I mean a 401k. I mean that IRA. I mean the 403b, the 457s, the 412Is, those Coverdales, the 529s, plans. We operate as if they are for us. We also operate as if the TV, or electronic income reducer, as some would say, is for us as well. We operate like Black Friday is for us. Now, depends if you're a consumer or producer. Trust me, when you are on the producer side of that economic equation, Black Friday turns into a completely different thing. Okay. Understanding the difference between interest rates versus interest cost. Meaning, is there ever a time like, oh no, we don't want to pay high interest? By not understanding not knowing what we don't know, we end up cutting ourselves short. And again, this is going to come up at least once. I'm not against higher education. I'm against how it's paid for, AKA student loans, and also buying our house way too soon. You buy your personal residence out of sequence. I did not say, RB, I know you're already coming for me. Stop it. I did not say don't buy your personal residence. I said you buy it out of sequence. And because you buy it out of sequence, what ends up happening is, well, you don't quite get to build the wealth you would otherwise, not during your lifetime. And it is a combination of those things that ends up that we believe. I mean, like I said, we operate as if they're for us. And that's just what happens. But we don't realize that we've also been programmed for against the things that actually are for us. For example, do me a favor. If you have seen a movie like in the last 30 days, oftentimes we don't realize when and where we might be being programmed. For example, how many of you have noticed that inside our entertainment, specifically movies, is what I'm referring to right now, but you could also look at a number of cartoons or television shows, etc. But oftentimes, the evil person is the one with the money. Did you hear what I said? The person playing the villain is the one with the money, the resources, etc. How many of you can think of a movie right now? You're just thinking, wait a minute. What did he just say? Think about it. How often is the evil guy the one with the money? Do you realize that that also subliminally says rich people are evil? And we don't realize things like this all the time, but it's there. We don't think about it, but when I call it out, you're like, I'm not sure if I can think of one, right? See, it's subliminal, it's hidden, but it's there. So like I said, we are programmed to be for what is against us. Because in that very same movie that you where you can't think of, somebody with the money, there's a protagonist, right? And we're rooting for that person, and that person typically is the underdog without the resources, or works for an organization. Because I started thinking about 007. He starts to work for an organization who's helping him in some way, shape, or form, right? There's something else in the middle. And that's interesting. Just something to consider. So we're often programmed to be for what's against us and against what's for us. See, we're told to go to school, get good grades, get a job. Go to school, get good grades, get a job. I think even before email was out, somehow that message made it everywhere. And right after that, some of us went to school again, and some of us went to school again, and some of us went to school again, and some of you are planning on going to school one more time. Okay, great. And that's fine. But the question really is why did you go to school in the first place? What was your original goal? I know what mine was, because I remember asking my math teacher very specifically. I told her, and if you were in that class, I'm sorry, but I caused you lots of problems and headaches because I kept asking questions like, if I learn this, will I make $100,000? And she said, yes. I said, okay, then I guess I'll go learn it. That was how I was thinking. Okay. I was that kid because, hey, I can learn this, but I don't want to. So give me a reason to, and I will, if that makes sense. And she said yes. And I found out that wasn't true. I didn't really need differential equations and statistics and calculus and calc 2 and all the other math and stuff that I took. I didn't need it. And there was no direct line between that and $100,000. And that was the difference. Is that I didn't know what I didn't know, but I got the same email all of us did. Go to school, get good grades. And, hey, Then you right after you get that first real job, whatever you called it, first real job, you got your first real job. And then you know what? You're sold. You got to participate in the 401k program. Now, and then right after that, realtors start knocking on the door saying, hey, it's time for you to buy your house. Right now, mind you, you paid for college with a student loan. So here's where we are. You went to school, you got good grades, you got a student loan, you got your degree. You then got the 401k and you got the house. And here's what all those things do in that sequence. They destroy your liquidity. What do I mean by that? I mean that now that you've done those things and you did them in that order, here's what happens. An emergency of any kind. It doesn't really matter, of any kind, because now you're in such a position to where the money you've been, quote unquote, saving, you can't touch because that's the condition of the 401k or qualified plan. And you got the student loan payment and you can't get rid of it. And you need a place to stay. But because you wanted the house, you got the house, and you got also all the stuff that comes along with maintaining same said house. And now you got an emergency and you're like, what am I going to do? Oh, I know. I'll get a credit card. Do you see what just happened there? It destroyed your liquidity. And the real thing to understand is, here's the best question to ask yourself. What did people use before 401ks? Before the qualified plan was available, what did people use? How did they do that? And what did you destroy your liquidity for? You got, in exchange, you got a tax credit. Tax credit. That's what you ended up with, right? And here's the challenge. And because I think many of you will catch where I'm going with this. You're going to pay the tax. It's not like it's gone. It's deferred. It's just deferred. All problems accrue interest and grow larger over time. By all, I mean every, which is excluding none of them. So when you deposit funds into the qualified plan, 401k, IRA, etc., let's call that the seed. Let's call that the seed. The goal of the seed is for it to become a tree, dare I say, a forest. And now that it's a forest, when it's all grown up and bigger, what do? They institute things like required minimum distributions, and they make you pay tax. So what does that mean? That means the tax credit that you took and claimed, and will be claiming in a few days, will come back later. You are they're giving you a loan with a very, very high interest rate. If you do the math, there's no payment due on the loan, but it is in doubt, no doubt. It is exactly that. It is, hey, we don't want the taxes due on, let's say, if you were contributing $500 a month, $6,000, we don't want the taxes due on that $6,000 for the year and 30% tax bracket. That would be $1,800. So they're going to give you $1,800 credit. That's awesome. Yay. Your taxable income went down a tiny bit. So they gave you $1,800. Now they're just going to let that loan sit there until the money comes back out of that retirement account or qualified plan when you're 59 and a half plus. And if you figure this out on the way, what they say is, oh, okay, so since you figured it out that, hey, if you take money out of this, we're going to really tax it. Well, then we're going to force you, because once you reach this age, we're going to force you to take it out because we need our tax money back. Now, mind you, they're not going to just tax you on the part that you deposited. They're going to tax you on every dollar. Period. All of it. Now, let's just look at this. Seeds have little costs. Forests are much bigger. It's a great deal for them. Hey, if I didn't need the $1,800 right now, I know if I wait about 20, 30, 40 years, it's great. All I got to do is just wait. He's eventually going to get 70 or something of that nature. In fact, there's only one way to avoid the taxes associated with those qualified plans, and it's to die. Otherwise, you need a tax strategy. You got to have a better tax strategy. Now, I'm not a CPA. We'll get to tax and all that other stuff later. Right now, what I'm trying to say and help you see is that wealth is for everyone. That means you. That means me. But here's the caveat. It doesn't mean it's simple. It doesn't mean that it is simple. Everything I'm saying is factually true, but you have to do more work, right? Because see, it's easy. They make it easy to put the money in. That's to their advantage. They make it difficult to take the money out. That's also to their advantage. Because the longer you keep it in there, the more time that they have to earn commissions and grow it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is my point. We've been programmed to be for what's against us and against what's for us. Because you gave up your liquidity in exchange for a tax break. That's the exchange. You got a tax break. But now the liquidity is gone and the emergency is here. And then you begin to get into credit card issues. That's how it goes. And the cycle repeats itself until one day you maybe do some math and figure it out. Or maybe you hear a guy on Clubhouse. I don't know. Either way it goes, you eventually figure out, I got to do something different. Thank you for tuning in to the Cashflow Diary podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please subscribe, share with a friend, and leave a rating and a review. If you'd like to keep the conversation going, head over to CashFlowDiary.com to sign up for our email list, as well as check out all the links and resources in the show notes. Thank you again. Until next time.